Oh,
Hello and welcome back to VHawks podcast. This isn't just any podcast, it's playoff football. And it's time to get right into the predictions. We've got the Denver Broncos traveling to Orchard Park, New York to take on the Buffalo Bills. Broncos surprising a lot of people this season. Rookie quarterback Bo Nix doing well. Defense doing very, very well. Cortland Sutton turning back time. Got a lot of different things here. Taking on Buffalo with one of the MVP candidates and a juggernaut of a team this season. Matt, what are you looking for in this matchup?
so it's really going to come down to the Buffalo's offense versus the Broncos defense. Um, Broncos defense, I believe, has the most sacks in the NFL this season. Um, Question is, can you sack a 200 plus pound man of the only QB in the NFL, of Josh Allen?
Yeah.
Um,
Who
if you
loves
get the
to run?
joke, you get the joke. But I feel like Bo Nix is going to take a little bit of time, especially in that type of environment. Um, in his first playoff game, Bo Nix, as I will get to Jaden Daniels later, never was really in the college football playoffs back in the college ranks, so he doesn't really have much playoff experience yet. Um, so I really feel like it's going to be the defense of Denver's job to keep them in the game and just keep Bo Nix around just to hope that at some point they can get ahead. But I also feel like if they cannot contain Josh Allen, keep him in the pocket, keep moving around in the pocket, but don't let him escape. um, it's going to be a long day for Denver if he is rolling around and just able to pick apart their defense. Um, I feel confident with Buffalo in this one, but Denver's defense could make this a bigger challenge than Vegas and others are believing it will be.
Yeah, and I agree that I think it is going to be mostly offense versus defense in terms of Buffalo versus Denver in that respect. But I do think it's also going to be, can Bo Nix do well in the playoffs? I think with a rookie quarterback, there's always that chance that he's going to back down in the bright lights. Sean Payton's probably going to have him away from doing that, but the Broncos defense should carry. Can their offense carry? The Bills can have a sneaky good defense at times, so will that translate to the playoffs as well? Because the Bills have been there multiple times. Broncos haven't been in a while, so
I believe over a
we'll
decade.
we'll see how that goes. Exactly a decade. They went in, or no, no,
A little
nine
less than
years
a decade.
because 9 years because they went in 2015. They beat the Panthers in the Super Bowl
Well, wait, if it was 2015 and it's 2025,
in exactly well, yeah, exactly a decade. Okay.
or was it the 2015 20? Well, it doesn't
It
matter.
was the
It's
2015
been a while.
season, so yeah, actually it is 19. You're right. Or I'm right. Yeah, I'm right. It's nine.
Yeah.
They won in the 2015 Super Bowl. Okay. All right. So my point being is that it's also going to be an interesting matchup to see Bo Nix on the road in a very hostile environment in a must-win game because it's the playoffs. Extra pressure, every eye on you because it's going to be the only game on at that time.
Probably
Can
the biggest
he
game of his career.
exactly? It's already the biggest game of his career. It's on the road against one of the best teams in the league. So and by default it's in prime time because it's a playoff game. So all the lights are going to be on him. We'll see if he ends up shining, backing away from the pressure or standing tall. But I also have to agree Buffalo should take this one. They're the far and away the better team, and they're one of the only teams I think that have a chance of knocking off the Chiefs.
So getting to the NFC 7-2 game with Green Bay at the Eagles, both teams limping into this game surprisingly, when they weren't really playing for much last week. Eagles
But
were
the
able to
Packers
manage
were
out a
playing their
win.
starters.
So yeah,
But the Packers were playing their starters,
fair.
and
Um,
they still lost.
Eagles got out with the win. Green Bay lost at the last second to the Bears. Um, Jordan Love was hurt early in that game versus the Bears, but it was reported that he could have played in the second half. It was just they weren't taking any chances and took him out. He should be ready to play this weekend. But Christian Watson lost for the year, torn ACL, I believe. So big loss, but they're trying to say that their wide receiver should still be um, confident enough. Eagles is going to be a real question of does Jalen Hurts play and how much practice time does he get? If he's going into that game with Russ and the Packers are able to jump on them like they did to Dallas a year ago, in the same exact matchup of the 7 and 2 seed, um, Packers could have a chance if the Eagles can control the ground with Saquon and give Hurts the time he needs, or gives the
Kenny
Kenny
Pickett.
Pickett the time he needs. The Eagles should be fine. I still believe the Eagles defense is going to be able to give Jordan Love enough problems. I don't think Josh Jacobs is going to be able to carry them like he has some games. I just feel like there's too much on this Eagles squad for the Packers this time. But if Jalen Hurts is out and Kenny Pickett starts throwing picks everywhere, we could see an upset. So really just depends on who's playing this weekend.
Yeah, I agree. Packers defense good at stopping the run, but then when they have to sell out to do that, they're going to make themselves vulnerable. And with the amount of weapons that Philly has, I think that even if it's Kenny Pickett, he's going to tear him apart. So it's going to be very interesting. Jordan Love is expected to play, so we're going to assume that they're going to have their offense at full strength, minus Watson, of course. Um, but that Philly defense is really good. So I think this should be pretty favorably to the Eagles, even if Jalen Hurts doesn't play. But if the Packers can get Josh Jacobs going and establish the game, that'll be the difference maker, because that was the difference maker in Brazil. Is the Packers were still trying to figure out what they wanted to be in week one, because they knew they wanted to run the football and commit to running the football, but they also know they have Jordan Love and they needed to pass the ball to beat that Eagles team. So it's going to be a question of if the Packers can get out to a lead and run the ball down their throats. I think Philly's kind of top 10 in both defenses, but isn't really like specialized in stopping the run or the pass by what I've seen so far. So we'll see. But I think Philly should be the favorite here.
Yeah, I agree. Only real thing that I have in question is if Kenny Pickett does play, there is the better chance that they can rattle him and make him make mistakes, but also Saquon Barkley could just save them and run for 200 plus yards.
Yep.
Going on to the AFC 6-3 matchup. Okay, I guess we're gonna have a part three.
We
What am
don't
I doing here?
need this game. We just don't need it.
Um,
We
Pittsburgh
don't
versus
need it.
Baltimore.
We
Um,
don't need it.
Pittsburgh basically limping into the playoffs with 4 straight losses might be more out of I don't know how many. They've lost a bunch of games recently.
Yeah.
Um,
And one
Baltimore
of them
coming
was to
in.
Baltimore in Baltimore.
Okay. Baltimore coming in pretty confident. They've had some recent success coming in on a winning streak. Justin Tucker hasn't completely collapsed. Um, only real issue with this game is um, what's his face? Lamar Jackson's has had struggles against Pittsburgh. They were able to beat them earlier, but still in the past 2 years, this has not been a favorable matchup for Lamar Jackson. I just feel like there's too much pressure on the Ravens this year for them to lose. Maybe in a later round, but not right now. I feel like Lamar Jackson is going to do whatever he can to carry this team. And I just don't think Pittsburgh has enough to overcome their deficiencies right now.
Yeah, I agree. And what I was saying, what I cut into, sorry for interrupting before, I was saying one of those losses was to Baltimore in Baltimore, I
Yeah.
believe. I'm not mistaken. And I think we're going to see a repeat of that here. Like you said, Pittsburgh is limping in here. Russell Wilson, after having a great midseason, is not looking his best now. The Ravens defense has been getting better as well. They've gotten a few pieces back. Kyle Hamilton is him. Roquan Smith is obviously still a danger wherever he is on the field. So, and then of course trying to defend Derrick Henry as well as Lamar Jackson. So, I don't think that, and the Steelers are also missing a few pieces on defense, if I'm not wrong. Um, so we'll see about this. It's because it's the Steelers. It'll probably be an uninteresting game. Um, but I think Baltimore should win it.
If
Um,
Baltimore doesn't win it, sorry to interrupt you, Baltimore
Very
might
good.
burn. Harbaugh might
Yeah,
get fired. Like this is going to be one of those things where if Baltimore is not able to come out of this game with a win, heads are going to roll in the organization.
yeah. And I mean, the home field advantage is just another thing too. That's one of the best stadiums to get home field advantage in, and I think that's going to be huge. But yeah, it's a division matchup. Even in the playoffs, division matchups are still weird, so got to be ready for it. But I think Baltimore should win it. So moving on, this is also interesting. So really quickly, Los Angeles had both teams make the playoffs. What happens if they were both home teams?
I think that's
I
just you
guess
have it on different days.
I guess they could still have it on, yeah, I guess they could still have it on different days, but it seems odd because where you put four teams
You don't.
for that amount of time. I guess yeah, okay. I just thought about that though, because it's the first ever for Los Angeles to have them both make it the same year. So anyway, but you got the Chargers taking on the Texans, because we're just gonna stay with this graphic now, because why not?
Yeah.
Um we mentioned this earlier. I don't think there's really much to say for this matchup. The Houston Texans have not looked good this year. They're just in the worst division in football, and the Chargers have been a very well balanced team, both on offense, both dimensions, and on defense. I don't think they're going to have any problems with the Texans. This should be a clear Chargers win. I don't even think we need to elaborate any further.
Yeah, Houston, their offense hasn't been able to stay healthy this year. There were some shines at the beginning of the year, but they've died out quickly. We've been talking about for several weeks that Houston's just been they're going to be in the playoffs, pretty much no doubt, but damn, it's going to be an easy win for whoever gets them. Chargers, we gave them shit at the beginning of the year. Actually turned out to be the right play for them. To get in the playoffs in the first year under Harbaugh. Um, yeah, I just feel like Houston's just I feel like they were in a better position last year than this year, which is surprising to say. I just don't
Well,
think
their wide
Houston's got it.
receivers did just like die this
Yeah,
season.
this is fair.
So,
Um, CJ Stroud's kind of had that sophomore slump. Um, and yeah, if the Chargers don't, I wouldn't say heads would roll, but it's going to be the Chargers would be charging if they lose this game.
correct, which they very well could,
Yeah,
but it's Harbaugh's Chargers. It's not Staley's Chargers. So,
this is fair. It's
um,
also as an organization, though. It's like the Falcons. It doesn't matter who's the head coach,
could
the
be,
organization.
could be.
Um,
Falcons could have just been Matt Ryan, but maybe. I don't know. We'll see. Next you got a rematch of week 1 with Washington at Tampa Bay. We've already alluded to this game earlier, so we also probably don't need to touch too much on uh the in and outs of this game, because we did that in the earlier video. So if you haven't seen our power rankings video and our reactions, then please check those out. But this is actually probably one of the most even matchups in the wild card round, if not the most even matchup, because you've got two offenses that are high flying, and the defenses, because Tampa Bay's is pretty injured right now, missing some key pieces. The defenses are pretty middle of the road. So This hopefully should be a high scoring game to make it interesting for anyone watching this game. So, gonna hope that's the case. But I think Jaden Daniels is better prepared to handle the playoffs. Call me crazy. Um, over Bo Nix. Um, and I think that with what he's been doing, and he's already faced the team before it was week one as a rookie. I think now that he's played a full NFL season and he's led his team to 11 wins or 12 wins, 11 or 12 wins, regardless, as a rookie. Um, I think they're gonna win this time. I think Baker Mayfield's gonna do great. I think he's gonna put up a ton of points, but I think that in this shootout, Jaden Daniels is able to put up just enough to hold off Tampa Bay. The defense is gonna be able to stop Tampa once or twice, and that's gonna be the game changer.
This could this game could really come down to who has the ball last. It's definitely going to be a lot closer of a matchup than it was week one, where Tampa kind of walked away with it pretty easily, and we were like, "Oh, well, Washington, you looked good, but you just don't have enough." And here we are with a rematch. Um, Tampa Bay, I just have to give it to him. I feel like Mike Evans has been a beast this year, and I feel like we're going to finally be able to see that on primetime TV. Um, I just feel like Tampa Bay has too much playoff experience, where the Commanders are really a young team. Now, it could be like last year where all the young teams decided to just beat the hell up on the old teams. So, could definitely happen. But right now, I feel like Tampa Bay probably has the edge going into this matchup.
And that will probably be the only game that we pick differently in the wild card round. Moving on to Minnesota at Los Angeles. Again, I kind of already gave a little bit of analysis on this game in the other two videos as well. I did also give an exact prediction, which I will be sticking to. I do think the Rams will take this game, but that's assuming that Sam Darnold has to get out of the funk that he was in last week. If the Minnesota team from before shows up, and by team I mean Darnold just gets back to how he was before, I think Minnesota will pull this game out because this time we know Puka Nakua will actually be playing in the game. Last time, and our head coach did just confirm it in a interview with Paul Allen, the Minnesota radio network, that when Puka Nakua was activated for the game, they were literally on a bus to Los Angeles for the game. So they were scrambling to find a defensive plan for Puka Nakua, and it's just funny how he did all of his work during the first half, and then Flores shut him down in the second half. So defensively, we should be ready for this team more than we were the last time we faced them, and it's also going to be off of a regular week as opposed to a short week when we face them on Thursday night. So there's a lot of differences this time for both teams. Um, I really think that it's gonna honestly come down to will Darnold show up? That's really the only caveat because Minnesota's defense is really good. It's gonna travel. Los Angeles has a great team as well. Their defense is underrated. And Matthew Stafford is really good at getting the ball out quick against the blitz. So Flores will need to have a plan to adjust his defense accordingly if the blitz does not work. But Matthew Stafford is known for throwing a few interceptions. Like every now and then he's going to throw one that's contested. We've got to be able to make the plays. So we have taken a ball away in at least one ball away in every game this season. So if we can keep that up against the Rams, I think that might be the turning point. But like I said, overall, it's going to come down to Sam Darnold. If he can play like he has been and just keep steady his feet, put his foot in the ground. I think we should be able to take care of the Rams. But I'm gonna stick with my prediction from the other video. He's gonna be in a slump for the first three quarters, gonna catch fire in the fourth, and then the refs are gonna miss another blind call to end the game.
Yeah, this is going to be a game where I feel like a part of that um, rest that some of the Rams starters got on Sunday is going to be crucial. Matthew Stafford, the wide receivers, and Kyron Williams all got rest. Um, where Minnesota was trying to fight for the one seed on Sunday night football. and I feel like there's going to be a little bit of a difference between that. I just feel like the Vikings offense kind of catches some slumps that they're not going to be able to do against the Rams, and I feel like that's going to come to bite them. Where we saw Darnold struggle in the red zone on Sunday night, and you're going to need to score touchdowns. You cannot get field goals, and I feel like the Rams are going to punish you for that. Um, so yeah, going with the Rams for this one.
Yeah. I mean, all I can ask for is that Darnold shows up. I think that'll give us a shot. If if it was a close game week 18 and we had lost like we did in week 7 to the Lions by like a couple points, I'd be picking Minnesota in this situation to get revenge. But because that week is out there that there's the possibility that Darnold just does not look good in the game, I have to give the edge to the Rams. But if Darnold goes back to form, the Vikings should win this game. So I'm tempering the expectations, but I'm also saying like, Minnesota didn't just get 14 wins by tiptoeing through the tulips. So we weren't like the Packers who got to play every injured team, including they might be able to play Philadelphia without Jalen Hurts. So we'll see how it all goes out. We just got to root for the Vikings. Both of us are rooting for the Vikings, not only for the channel, but because you hate the Rams. So um, we just got to hope the Vikings pull it off. Who else are you rooting for, Matt, for your rooting interest? I know Pittsburgh, but who else?
Hmm. Would be cool to see Houston beat up on the Chargers just because I don't like Harbaugh. So it'd be funny if both Harbaugh brothers lost in the same day.
Oh, that's it. There you go. That's interesting.
Buffalo just because screw Sean Payton.
Yep.
And more for Jaden Daniels just to see him play well in a playoff game.
Yeah. I think I have the same rooting interest as you, honestly. And then as far as Green Bay and Philadelphia, are you kind of my mind of like I don't really care who wins or who loses. I don't have a really dog in that fight.
So again, sorry.
Are you kind of in the same mindset as I am with the Green Bay game and Philly, as in like I don't have a dog in that fight. I don't really
Yeah.
care who wins that game. Okay.
Whoever loses, I'm
Yeah.
gonna laugh. So
The Eagles are like my second or third most hated team. They are second because like I don't really hate on the Lions. It just sucks that they have to be so good. So it's Green Bay, the Eagles, then probably like the Cowboys just because everybody hates the Cowboys. Then it starts getting into the Lions and Bears because they're division rivals.
why
So
not the
these are
Chiefs?
my two most hated teams in terms of the Vikings having to play them.
Ah, okay.
So
Well, I believe that will be all.
yep. Go Vikings is the underline of this video with a secondary header of Go Steelers for Russell, or sorry, Go Russell Wilson and the
Yeah.
Steelers is
Yep.
the secondary headline. Um, so we'll see how it all shapes up and who starts to fill in these other slots in the middle. Who's going to go to Detroit? Who's going to go to Kansas City? Possibly a new team hosting a playoff game. So we'll see how it all works out with the seeding. But all we can
Yeah,
hope
we
for is
all
that the
know that
Vikings move
Kansas
on.
City will still win.
Probably. And if the Lions make it to the Super Bowl, then I'm afraid I must join the Swifties and wish for a three-peat.
You have become what you swore to destroy.
I see through the lies of the NFC. No, I mean, honestly, yeah. Um, I mean, if the Commanders or the Buccaneers make it, I don't want the three-peat. But if it's the Lions or the Eagles or the Packers or the Rams, no, no, give me the Chiefs. I don't want any of those four teams winning it. So,
My
yeah,
allegiance to the Kitties, to the Motor City,
the Motor
or to the
City Kitties,
Campbells, or to the Campbells.
the Campbells. Okay, so I call them the Motor City Kitties. You call them the Campbells.
No, my allegiance is to the Kitties, to the Campbells.
Ah, gotcha. Now, I will say, I didn't mention this in the other video. I love Dan Campbell. I cannot emphasize how much I love him, how much I wish he was our coach. There is no love lost between us in that sense. Like I love or it's not Sam Darnold. I love Dan Campbell. Um, he even said, I forgot to share this with you earlier. I might have texted it to you though. He said, in the post game, when the coaches like go out in the middle of the field and say good game and all that, right? There's a clip of Dan Campbell to Kevin O'Connell like, good game, man. See you in 2 weeks.
Just
He literally expects us to beat the Rams and go right back to Detroit. Like that's just cool. I mean, some people will say, "Oh, well, he just expects you to beat you guys a third time or whatever." And I'm just like, no, I see that as respect. That he just expects us to come back here to win a playoff game. Like that's just cool. And
I also see it
people
where he
run through a
doesn't want
brick
to
wall.
face the Rams again.
Yeah, I mean they took him to overtime in week 1, so
And it was
that's the
close
truth.
last year.
Yep, it's the truth. You got both quarterbacks in the trade, so you know each other very well. Um, So it'll be interesting. But yeah, I love the coach and I love the team, except for Dirty Kirby Joseph. Um, but I cannot have them win a Super Bowl. Not before the Vikings. So that's the only thing. But we'll see what happens. We'll see how the playoff picture takes shape. All I can ask is that the Vikings can be in it as long as possible. So with that, we'll join you again on Tuesday, and hopefully, this will be a happy podcast instead of a tired from being angry podcast as it is for me today. So, with that, a huge skull, and let's go Vikings
You know what
for
would be funny?
Monday night. What's funny?
Say Green Bay wins on Sunday or Saturday or yeah, Sunday.
Yep. Mm-hmm. I'd be all right with that.
And the Vikings win
Mm-hmm.
and you meet the Lions in the conference championship
I like where this is heading.
and you win and go to
I
the
love
Super
where this
Bowl
is heading. Yeah.
and
And
you
then meet the
can't
Bills, and one of the 0-4 teams has to get a Super Bowl ring.
no and you can't talk.
Oh, because we beat the Lions. Yeah. Yeah. You know what, Matt? You know what? I will do it as soon as the Rams game if we beat the Rams.
Would you still do it for the Lions game?
Yeah, I'll do two if it
Okay, all
happens.
right, that's fine. That's fine.
But I just feel bad that I couldn't give you the one today. So uh we'll see if we can beat the Rams, and I'll give you that one.
Or you go to the
But
divisional, beat the Lions, then lose in the conference championship, and then you can finally talk. You win two straight games, and then the one you can finally talk in is the one you lose.
yeah, no, I don't want to. um Yeah, again, I take it one game at a time. If in the future we get to the Lions, sure. I mean, at this point, you could probably get me to agree to almost anything, that doesn't involve money or embarrassment, um, but or physical injury, of course. But at this point, I'm focused on the Vikings Rams game, and I will say, if we beat the Rams, I will be perfectly content not talking. So I will, however, probably have like something funny or revenge-ish on the slide. But getting ahead of ourselves first, we got to take care of business, and I just hope our team shows up, like, and actually performs. That's all I can ask for. So, oh, also, sorry, also forgot to know this because this came out recently today as well. JJ McCarthy's 21-day window has started. Just saying.
I wouldn't get too hopeful yet.
No, I'm not getting too hopeful. I'm just saying it could be cool. Because what you just said is we'd play the Lions in the championship game, right?
Hmm.
Where did McCarthy go to college?
Michigan.
Right? He'd be playing in the championship game in Michigan, which I think he's also from Michigan. So,
So the only reason he would be playing is because Sam Darnold's hurt.
correct.
I thought you
But we'll
didn't wish
see.
injury.
No, I don't wish injury. No. But either way he'll be there and he'll be suited up because he'll be the backup. So at least so technically he will be playing because he's on the 53, but hopefully Sam Darnold's doing so well that he won't have to see the field until he plays in the last minute and change to kneel the ball.
So who are you gonna cut? Rippin or not Rippin?
Rippon's already been cut.
Yeah. I guess who would you cut then?
Daniel Jones, I would imagine.
Daniels?
Well, because we want the comp pick for having Daniel Jones on our roster. Um, I don't know. It'll be whichever backup position we feel good and we feel good depth wise. I would imagine. So, but I don't see a world in which McCarthy's ready to play that we don't put him in for at least the third quarterback.
Well,
So
he would be like emergency quarterback, but
yeah, but I mean, I guess technically, I mean, he's never seen an NFL game, so you want to have Mullins and Jones in there. Like I see that. So I wouldn't be totally surprised if he's healthy and he's just like he's just riding out um on injured reserve still. But like I said, don't put the cart before the horse. Got to focus on the Rams game. Hopefully Darnold can show up like his old self with the Vikings this season and just put the pedal to the metal, put up those points. Defense gets some turnovers.
well,
Get
as we
out of
said
LA with a
like
win.
10 minutes ago, that'll
Huh?
be all for this episode.
Yeah, pretty much. All right. Well, again, to reiterate, skull.
Peace.